Welcome back to Cinema Corner. I'm Blake, and today it is just me as I am reviewing Crime 101, the new Heist movie. Some people are saying it's similar to Heat in a way, the 2026 Heat in a way. I don't fully agree with that. I see where they're drawing the comparison, but um, this movie recently came out starring quite a few MCU characters, as we have Mark Ruffalo, Chris Hemsworth, Barry Keoghan, and Halle Berry. Um, Essentially, this movie is following Chris Hemsworth character Davis, who is an ethical thief, essentially, who primarily is doing jewelry and diamonds. And his main thing is he tries not to hurt anybody, and he thinks ahead and does a lot of research ahead of time to make sure he can get in and out as clean as possible without injuring anybody. Along the way, we learn that Mark Ruffalo is a detective following him who kind of has an obsession with him, trying to catch him as he is convinced that the string of robberies that are going on in the kind of Los Angeles along the Highway 101 are all the same guy. And we also have Sharon, who is Halle Berry's character, is in insurance. She works for an insurance company who has been there forever, but unfortunately, because of her being a woman, is not getting the respect of being named a partner. And so she is not quite where she should be at that point in her career. And eventually we learn that Chris Hemsworth kind of reaches out to her, as he always has a hacker kind of reach out to somebody on the inside to learn as much as he can to do his crimes as clean and smooth as possible. So he reaches out to her to get the inside information on a big job that he's working on. However, the organizer that he works with has not really hired, but told Barry Keoghan's character to follow this guy, see what he's up to, and take his big job that he's trying to do, because they kind of had a little falling out. And so during this process, Barry Keoghan's, I don't remember his character's name, breaks into Sharon's apartment and kind of beats her to get information out of her to learn of the robbery that's kind of being worked on. This in turn makes Sharon go to Mark Ruffalo character's Lou, the detective, and kind of tell him, this is everything that's going on. I don't really know what to do. And so Mark Ruffalo is kind of like, I finally got, a chance to get the guy that I've been after and obsessing after. Has pretty much cost him his career, because he's kind of not became very popular in the force, because that's all that he cares about. And even his own partner kind of turned on him and decided to lie to be closer with those in the department and kind of move up. So he's kind of alone on the force. And so this causes Lou and Sharon to kind of have a connection of that. He says that she can stay at his apartment, as, she doesn't need to stay at her apartment, which was broken into, and kind of causes these two people who are kind of both not where they want to be in their lives. And Mark Ruffalo going through a separation kind of causes them to be closer. But during all this in the background, we have, I don't remember her name. Maya is the character's name, I'm pretty sure, but I don't remember the actress's name. But her and Chris Hemsworth are kind of developing a romance in the background. And that is new for Chris Hemsworth, as we learn in this movie, that Davis is a very, very keep to himself, just doesn't keep really any personal material, doesn't talk about family or anything, is just very kind of antisocial in a way, only when he needs to be for jobs. But they kind of have a romance in the background going on, which causes him to kind of break it off with her as he's getting ready for this big score, as he won't tell her anything about himself, and says, I might have to go away for a little bit for a job. So he goes for his big score, which is to get a jewels and the cash that somebody's trying to buy them at the same time, which would be roughly, I think they said like $12 million between the two, or $8 million maybe. But either way, Mark Ruffalo knows what's going on now. So him and Chris Hemsworth have this really cool scene of Lou getting picked up, acting as if he is a carrier of the diamonds by Chris Hemsworth, who has, taken over this job and taken out the real carrier. So you have these two guys both not realizing that they're kind of in the car with the person that they're after. Lou, Mark Ruffalo character, does know. So you have this really cool scene that is kind of reminiscent in a way to me of, unfortunately, this is a Marvel reference, and I'm sure there's other movies, but the kind of driving scene in Homecoming of Vulture and Spider-Man, of kind of learning that this is the person that you've been, after your enemy in a way. And I thought that scene was really cool, just the two of them talking. During the robbery, at one point, Barry Keoghan's character shows up because he kind of knows what's going on. He's trying to get the robbery. And in the process, Barry Keoghan holds Chris Hemsworth's character hostage. And as he's pointing guns at Mark Ruffalo and others in the room, he is going to seemingly shoot Mark Ruffalo's character, and Chris Hemsworth is able to shoot and kill Barry Keoghan, which is not what he does at all. And he kind of just tells Lou, he's like, he was going to kill you. And so that's when Lou decides that, as a down on his luck guy, if I just say that this guy, this dead body here, I'm going to let you leave. We're going to say this is the guy who's been doing all the robberies. I've got my guy, in a way, in the eyes of the department, which is really all the department wants. They just want the cases to be closed so they can stop getting heat from the press and media about there's all these crimes going on. You guys need to do something. So he essentially tells Chris Hemsworth's character, leave, get out of Los Angeles. Don't let me see you again. I'm going to say that we got our guy. You can go away. And so Chris Hemsworth just starts to leave Los Angeles. We then do learn that Mark Ruffalo's character Lou took some fake diamonds from a different job, and he switches them out with the real diamonds that the rich billionaire is trying to buy in this deal. And he just says, like, hey, put these away. But in reality, he has the actual diamonds worth whatever, $6 or $8 million that they're worth. And he basically just tells them, like, yep, here's what happened. This guy is the robber. He's dead now. We stopped the crime spree. There won't be any more going on. He also now, keeps all those diamonds that he can sell and, maybe get away and start a new life. And Chris Hemsworth, as he's driving away, decides to turn around and go back for Maya. And that's kind of where the movie ends. We get a little montage at the end just showing that he did buy a car that they talked about that was Mark Ruffalo Lou's dream car. He bought that for him kind of as a peace offering of like, hey, I'm going to be staying in the Los Angeles area, but, he's probably going to hang up the retiring or the thief life, robbery life. And that's kind of where it ends. But overall, I really enjoyed this movie more than I thought I would. I kind of was thinking just this being that February release. Usually there's a reason that movies get released in, January, February, March is a little bit starting to get better, but kind of just one of those ones that you bury it a little bit. But I thought maybe because I went in with lower expectations just because of that. I actually really enjoyed this movie. Like I said, it does have a pretty star-studded cast. I mean, between Hemsworth, Ruffalo, Halle Berry, Barry Keoghan is pretty big now. Nick Nolte is kind of the organizer guy. Again, I cannot remember the Maya's character, her name. She's starting to have a pretty big come up, I think. Corey Hawkins, I think, should be bigger than he really is, personally. But yeah, it is a little surprising to have that big of a cast and to kind of be thrown to the side. I did not look at the box office numbers in terms of what this movie cost to make. But it does seem like they did a lot of the shooting in Los Angeles, as I feel like it actually has a good feel when they are kind of some of the chase scenes outside going through LA just feel very real. It doesn't look, like they just start slapping stuff in the background on a green screen. So they shot a lot of it in Los Angeles. I'm pretty sure I looked at and did see that. So that you definitely could feel that. And I just think that they did a really good job of kind of blending the kind of background romances that you had going on with both Chris Hemsworth and Mark Ruffalo and Lou and Sharon's. I thought those kind of in the background of this movie were pretty well written, that they didn't feel cringy or forced at all, that it kind of just, it was a nice addition to the story, as well as I thought the heists. We only really got like one at the beginning, kind of. I mean, I say heist, but they're really more thought out of him kind of robbing before the robbery takes place or taking places of things. But I thought those were executed pretty well. So yeah, I think this movie kind of surprised me in terms of the action was good. The storyline I thought was really good. Acting all around. I thought Chris Hemsworth did phenomenal, kind of at times displaying or portraying like a more antisocial kind of nervous guy. A lot of times you kind of see that where it's like, oh, this super attractive actor or actress is trying to, act all nerdy or whatever, and it just doesn't fit. But I think he did a good job of kind of showing a lot of vulnerability at spots when he was being more of his self and not playing, a more confident character like he needed to at times during heists. And so I thought his acting was really, really good. And Halle Berry, she killed it, but kind of to be expected. She's just a phenomenal actress. But Mark Ruffalo, I thought, was really solid. Barry Keoghan, I thought was okay. I mean, honestly, he had a bike helmet on, a motorcycle helmet for a majority of his scenes, I felt like. So to me, it was kind of whatever. His one kind of robbery where he was very just out of control robbing the jewelry store. I felt it was a tense scene, but I don't think he was anything special. Again, he pretty much just had a motorcycle helmet on, was just yelling at people and hitting people. So it's like, I didn't think that was, it was a tense scene, but listen, I'm not a big Barry Keoghan guy. Let's just be honest. It is what it is. Didn't think he was anything special. I don't think he is anything special. But all in all, yeah, like I think they did a good job of blending everything. I am a little surprised this one kind of got buried with that February release date. I don't know, maybe they thought there'd be less competition. Throw it out, Valentine's weekend. You kind of get both a little bit of a side romance plot with two different characters as well as action. Maybe they would get couples in. That might have been the intent. I don't know. But all in all, I'm very, very surprised with this movie. Obviously, it's very, very early in the year. So I'm sure it will get forgotten pretty quickly. But I think when it comes to streaming, it should have a pretty strong weekend or a couple weekends. I think once it's on streaming and people kind of see it and see those bigger names kind of starring in it, we'll give it a chance. And I think it'll keep a lot of people's attention. I truly do think that this should have a pretty decent streaming life once it comes out and people learn more about it. Because I think just this time of year, people aren't really knowing what movies are coming out. That being said, I did give this movie an 8.5 out of 10. Like I said, I think they did a great job of blending a lot of things. I think it's right around 220, 225. So it is a little bit of a longer-ish movie, but for the most part, I don't really feel like I felt it all that much. I feel like, for me, I'm a big person, like, once a lot of this stuff ends, like, kind of some of those, like, wrap-up scenes that I kind of refer to, that I think at least are at the end of movies, where it's like, oh, we kind of got to close the storyline this one, even though, like, either big fight or big whatever has happened. For me, that's really where I see a lot of movies dragging on, that I'm like, okay, we could just get out of here. But I think this movie does a pretty good job of kind of wrapping that stuff up relatively quickly and making it all make sense. And I didn't feel like it was like, oh, the last probably 10-ish minutes or so were like really dragging on. So I think that was a big part for me, but I was like, I enjoyed that. It kind of ended relatively quickly. It wrapped up a lot of the things that were going on in the background, that there's not a whole lot of unanswered questions. So I think that was a big part for me why I thought this movie was good. So let me know in the comments below, Crime 101, if you did see it, what your thoughts were of it were. Unfortunately, my two co-hosts did not decide to give it a chance, but I think at some point when it comes to streaming, at least one of them will give it a chance, and I think they'll be in a similar boat as me of kind of surprised on how good that was. As always, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you guys in the next one.